But you have, for every app, you have a details screen. In that details screen, if you right-click on the detail web link, that is the link, permanent link to your app. So when you're in Power Apps, you would just go to that details screen and you would be able to right-click on it and select that link. Now that link just opens the app, doesn't do anything else. If you wanted to go into the app and go to a particular page in the app, you got to pass a query parameter, right? So at the end of the link, and I'll show you this, don't worry, as soon as we get, I'll get there in a minute, then you put a question mark and then you say what you want to pass. So if I wanted to pass like the SharePoint ID, I put question mark, capital I, capital D, equals, right? Now I can link to a particular ID in that app. I would also tell it what page, right? So by deep linking into my app, I can do a lot of things. And again, I will give you that link because I'm having major Wi-Fi issues here. So what we'll do, being that we can't get these things to open up right now, is let's see if I can cheat and at least open the flow. Because once we get it open, at least I can walk you through. Yes. So, first thing on my flow is a button. All right? Now, the button in the flow is going to those home sites. We don't have a way right now for you to create drop-down list options dynamically, but I'm working on figuring out what are some tricks we could do in order to do that. So I actually put the home sites in there for each line. Now, after I put them in there, I added another input, and you can add as many inputs as you want just by clicking add an input, and it gives you the choice of these types of inputs here. But I also added a inspection category that has 3 choices. Now, remember that when you add a text field, you can choose whether or not you want it to be a list of options or just the text, and you can choose to make that field optional as well. Bigger. You feeling good? All right. So, I don't know how long I can keep it this big though, because it flops. But you can see that this drop down is under those 3 dots over there. Now, the next thing I did was I picked up the inspector notes, and then for the photo, all I had to do was pick the file input. Because you can pick a file or an image, and it can be a camera that you take, or it could be a photo that's on the device, whatever device you're using. You can also upload the photo. Now, the next thing I did was get that file up on SharePoint. And since SharePoint's not working, you'll have to trust me. I'll show you the run succeeded. But basically I'm saying, what site is this on? And this is the site for that Teams. I do it that way because if you're doing a solution for Teams, you might as well do it on the site for the Teams. That way you don't have to worry about permissions. It's just automatically going to work for everybody in that team, all right? Then I have the file name. I needed something unique, so I did the home site plus the timestamp. And then I added a PNG at the end. And then finally I added the photo. So basically I just took the dynamic fields directly from the trigger to use there. So as soon as you click into any other action, your dynamic fields will appear on the right, and that's how I got those in there, okay? So now basically if that runs, everybody agree with me that this should run? Any questions so far? Make sense? Okay, if that runs, now I need the ID of that file. We couldn't get the ID while we're making it. So how do I get the ID of that file? Well, I have to go get file properties. This will get me the ID of the file just made. So all I do is I go to the library name, and then when I click in the ID column here, it is going to give me, sorry, I think I just made a mistake and clicked something. But you can see on the right there, it gives me the item ID. The that's what I want in that ID field, okay? Really important because you're going to need it for the next step. And the next step is to create the SharePoint list item. So I already have a list on the site. It has title, ref ID, category, and notes. So now I'm taking, again, the same data, the data from the button, and then the item ID from the photo, because now I'm going to use that ID number in Power Apps to show the photo that was uploaded with that list. And all I'm going to do, anybody know what function I'll have to do in Power Apps to get the photo related to a gallery list item? Anybody know? Oh, hard question, right? Okay, how about I give you a tip? The first part of this formula is look up. Very good. So you'll be using a lookup, and basically you'll be saying look up in the photo library where the ref ID equals ID. That's all you'll be doing, right? And then finally you have your notes. Now here's the fun part, which is the adaptive card. Now, being that the site's being slow, I'm going to walk you through this. So imagine I did what I did a few minutes ago. I selected some buttons and I made it look like what I wanted to look like close. Then I just go to the bottom and click copy JSON. I just copy that whole thing and I pop it in this message area. You'll notice that I also selected what team do you want this bot to go to and what channel do you want it to go to. But now I'm going to edit it only where I want to make changes. So you might have noticed that on that site, the title of the card was something about adaptive cards. I'm sorry.